Gunther, first of all, I need you to ask you a favor if you can tell me how you pronounce the last name, because I don't want to mispronounce.
It's only Gunther Fehlinger.
Fehlinger, okay, because...
No, yeah, the normal Austrian pronunciation is Fehlinger.
Fehlinger, okay.
Because in Serbia you put a big H, pronunciation on the H, but in German you call it Fehlinger.
All right, great. Well, anyway, I'm a, how should I say, resident citizen of United States for past 40 years. 84, I left over there. I'm involved in, call it, ex-Yugoslavia media channel, and I provide certain type of content about the region and everything else. So that's kind of my background. I would call myself rather Yugoslavian because I was born in that country. And now, I'm Yugoslavian Serb American in sense.
I'm honored to meet you. And I know you have a very strong community there.
Yes, well, I think, pretty much there is more Balkan people all around the world than Chinese, but it's hard to recognize us because of the eyes. But mentality is the same. What I want to know...
California. Yeah. For the invitation.
Well, listen, I would love to greet you. If you ever come to California, we could go for hamburger, I guess. I'll rather prefer, a Wiener Schnitzel, because I ate the best Wiener Schnitzel in Vienna, and the most beautiful city, I guess, of the world, more or less. Definitely prettier than Los Angeles. And I just want to, let's start with that, kind of loosen up conversation, because you were all over the Balkan, and who has the best food?
I think the kebab in Sarajevo are the best. There's no doubt. You have to taste that one. And also I have to recommend the fish in Albania. It's a very good one.
They're good one, also, fresh.
Yeah. All over the place, the tomatoes are better than in Austria, and the food is better. And you have this welcoming quality of hospitality, which you find not so much anymore in Europe. And,
is any place?
Balkan is a welcoming place.
Yeah. Let me ask you: is any place that you went that you were not treated lunch or hospitality?
Everywhere, in Serbia, in Albania, in Bosnia. I traveled now 30 years through the Balkans, and they always treated me like a very special person, like a guest. And that was always very good. Thanks a lot.
Before we show up, how did you end up in this podcast and this kind of chit-chat situation? Tell me something about yourself. I mean, you stated on Twitter that you're mid-50s, something like that. And how did you end up being this type of, I don't know what you are. Are you a politician, activist, or what are you?
No. I'm an economist, actually. I'm an economic reformer. So I normally work in economic ministries. That's what I'm doing for a living, to advise them for better EU integration, European reform, for lower taxes, and for better regulation. I'm an expert on SME policy as a development consultant. And I have started also to be an activist for European integration, for NATO enlargement. And that I do actually since I started, as an Austrian. There came the end of the Cold War. I was in my studies. I was a student leader in Austria 30 years ago, and I have continued to be in politics some years as a political advisor in Brussels. And since 2005, I lived basically for 15 years in Ukraine, Albania, Kosovo, Montenegro, Macedonia. And I know all the countries very well, and I know them also from the economic reform effort. And I want to help them to join the European Union and NATO, to be full member of the West. This is what I want to do, and this is what I'm doing since 30 years. So
living all over those places, is it fair to say that you are as well 007 spy?
Unfortunately, maybe on an unpaid basis.
There you go. You know the food, you know the drinks, you know the region.
Yes.
Okay, exactly. Let me check you out first of all. How good economist you are. I mean, why is Austria so good and Balkan is so bad? What Austria has that we don't have, and why we are so, if you want to call it self-destructive or destructed region, And is any chance that we can, if we use that, let's call nominator Austria, size-wise, I mean, region-wise, that some of the regions in ex-Yugoslavia can be as good as Austria.
Yes, I'm confident that this will be the case in the future. But you have to blame communism. First of all, the communist dictatorships of Eastern Europe.
Listen. I would really, I would kind of try to look towards the future. That's what TeslaVision is all about. If we go, as excuses in all these things, I mean, we are not putting ourselves in position to change and do something better.
True, I agree. But when you ask me for the reason why there is an economic difference between Serbia and Austria, for example, I have to say that it's the history. The history is absolutely responsible. And of course, the wrong decisions of Serbia after '89 to declare war on the rest of Yugoslavia and to tumble the whole region into terrible wars. And of course, the consequences is poverty and lack of neglect. Because never forget, when Yugoslavia was basically an American ally in the 70s still, and it was about quite similar to living standards in Austria and Yugoslavia, at least in northern Yugoslavia and the richer parts in Serbia and Croatia.
Yeah.
But then you have decided to go down, and we have decided to go into Europe. And so we are now, 10 times richer or let's say 8 times richer than Serbia.
Well, I'm going to refuse myself to go deep because, as I said, as I declare myself as a Yugoslavian, I'm witness of certain events that happened, and I wasn't part of that because I left '84. But the general idea about having that region, that size, and the quantity of 20 million people and industries that they were present, and they were not function. But let's not say that they were not producing certain things, and let's not say that they were not fixable. And I'm not going to go into that who really destroy Yugoslavia.
We can discuss.
No, I mean, because we would, you would say your thing, I would say my thing, I mean, I will declare myself. I believe, that United States is the one who destroyed Yugoslavia, even saying, but that's the reason why I'm trying to kind of make, kind of punch, into this discussion, because how should I say, we can listen the news, we can listen the politicians, we can listen neighbors, we can listen, everything, and I'm the part of people, who got struck, who really, in the name of humanity, really hated to see that destruction, which is, again, you're probably going to tend to use word genocide. I think it's kind of worst. I think it's worst. Because it's emotional, comes from my side, and when I look into genocide, I would love to leave that to the part of era that kind of happened, and I think this is something worse than that. And whatever happened in other regions in the world, that crime brothers against the brother, it's kind of worse than race against the race or species against the species, because I believe that humanity is the worst kind of the planet. So
no, we are absolutely amazing species, and we will have
what
a great
we can
future.
do.
And we have just a difficult past, and we have to overcome it together in NATO and the European Union. That's why I campaign for Serbia to join NATO.
Well, I believe Serbia is already in NATO.
It will
How
come.
about that? How about that? How about that?
More or less, the partnership of peace is already a big step in that direction, and the partnership with the U.S. National Guard, which Serbia has, is also a big step. So I'm confident by the end of the decade that Serbia will have recognized Kosovo, maybe earlier even, and then also join NATO and the European Union.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk, one by one thing, because definitely, I don't know if you have right now time, because as you said, you just
all the
came.
time. Because
all right,
really,
great. Hey,
this is very important.
Yeah, this is a podcast, this is the thing, in which we really want to kind of hear each other, exchange, opinions, and absolutely agree with each individual. I mean, allow me to agree with myself, not agreeing with you in most positive way, but then again, I'm the type of person, that I have no problem. Are you a beer drinker, or what do you?
Absolutely.
So are you into sports, or are you just kind of economic, political geek?
No,
what do you
I
like?
to go to the gym.
Oh, you
I'm
know.
from the country of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Don't forget. He is the best Austrian we sent to California ever in history, and he's our big role model.
Well, now you're famous, I guess, in either positive or negative way. Somehow
Uh,
you did it to
Famous.
yourself.
I'm
Are
not
you
famous,
feel?
but
Well, listen. I mean, I just hope to stay this way and not to go further, because I would like to express certain type of empathy towards you. Not that I'm gonna cry for you or that I feel.
no, no,
I'm
no,
just
no.
saying, where you at. If I would be in your shoes, I would feel uncomfortable.
I'm a friend of Serbia. I'm a friend of European Serbia. I put the Serbian flag up here, and nobody will harm me. Everybody will be nice to me because I'm 30 years active for a democratic European Serbia, and it will come. It will come, and it will be in NATO and the European Union. Serbia will recognize Kosovo, will make peace with its neighbors, and I will come back to Belgrade as a friend of the nation. I will get a medal of Serbia for my efforts, yeah, for Europeanization of Serbia, and we will have a lot of kebab and shashlik together, and it will be wonderful. And the rakia with my friends, I will drink together because I fight since 30 years for European
Well, you
Serbia.
want to drink rakia because we have best rakia of the world. So I'll claim that against Sarajevo Cevapi. Okay, we have to have something better than Sarajevo. Sarajevo is my favorite city. It was one of the coolest city in former Yugoslavia. I have a lot of friends. I'm gonna
Yes,
tell
it's
you,
for me too.
I have two Albanian friends, very dear friends
Very
in
good.
Los Angeles from Riverside. I have many Bosnians. Right now, we have to call them that. Before, in my era, I was calling them brothers. We were brothers and
Yes.
sisters, and we always. At that era, we really didn't drink that much rakia as much as we were sending to tables Johnny Walker. I mean, it was
Oh,
kind of trendy, brandiose, like a drink, and we're gonna drink Johnny Walker, Blue Label, 20 years, this and that, this and that. So that was the love between me and Sarajevo, and I really kind of hate to see the way Belgrade is today and the way Sarajevo is like that. But then again, that's a cry for some type of youth, which obviously I don't think so you will succeed to bring back.
it will come inside the European Union because all the countries of the Western Balkans will join NATO, European Union, the Euro in this decade, and there will be the same atmosphere of friendship and of reconciliation again once we have achieved to have common citizenship of everybody again.
Well, listen, what I'm trying to say is this. If we see that celebration, if we see that festivity in one day, all this region gonna be happy in a certain way, bureaucratically, without the borders that you can
Yeah.
travel, exchange, work, and all those things. Me and you drinking, whatever. We do you know what's a chaser?
No?
That's American slang that basically you take two drinks. One is beer, one is the rakia. So the one is kind of
Okay.
chaser, So you go with it. But to put us in that element in which we are kind of happy people, and we look back and say, how did we get here? I mean, how we were able to negotiate in order to reach that peaceful unity and community, and like we have, I don't know, in multicultural areas, like let's call it United States, you have no idea, maybe you can recognize by eyes, by race, somebody, but you wouldn't say, I wouldn't know if you're Austrian or not, maybe I would say, this guy is kind of, that type of area, northern, Europe, one way or the other. Do you think, that's the way, that you're acting right now, in sense, that
Yes.
you're getting to that? And that's
Yeah,
pretty
I
much
think
your, yeah,
my effort is to make Europe like America because I'm a very great fan of America and I think our future is the United States of Europe. I'm a European federalist. And I want that it doesn't matter anymore if we are Serbs, Kosovo, Albanians, or German or French. We are all Europeans. And the same is in America. You're a proud American, no matter if you are from Bosnia, Albania, or from Serbia, and you are now American.
But that's what I call Yugoslavia.
American patriot. And that's perfect, yeah.
Gunther,
Yugoslavia was always built on Serb dominance. It was never built on equality. I'm sorry to say.
Listen, coincidentally,
it was always Serb domination of the others. And from the beginning, from 1918, Serbia dominated the others. The Croatians never wanted to be in Yugoslavia. The Albanians of Kosovo never wanted to be in Yugoslavia. They were by the sword forced to be there. And that is not equality, that's not fairness, that's not human rights, and that's not a union. That's a kind of empire which we are built. And we in the European Union, we are a union based on equality. So everybody, from Finland to Bulgaria, from Greece to Germany, is equal.
Okay, that's good. Important. But that's how should I say rhetoric, that you're providing. You said you said Yugoslavia was an empire. Is it right?
Absolutely.
Is the United States empire?
No. United States is the citadel of freedom.
But
it's the biggest project of freedom ever in the history. It's the most anti-imperial power in the history. It has defeated all other empires. Yeah.
There you go. Listen. I'm from United States, in which U.S. citizen and born natural. No. I'm just saying. People are saying over there and admitting that United States is an empire for a long time. Yeah. So it's not me. It's not me. I accepted.
It's a polemic.
Well, I accepted by certain professors, certain reporters, something like that. So I hear that. So it's again a rhetoric. We don't have to go into that why it is or not. But imperialism it's a negative connotation. If we think about that, what empire is doing is basically. They pretty much right now putting on the side. America is the one who is bully. And then now, right now, that's what Russia would say, or that's what China would say, we cannot breed because America is telling us, what will be, how it will be. We have all this geopolitical thing that I wouldn't go into that. What I'm interested pretty much, it's really your name and legacy that you're leaving behind you as an activist or professionalist. So to me, it's... I don't think so we're going to reach midpoint. It's going to be what's going to be. I don't think so many things. It's really up to me except to have this kind of genuine conversation with you and understand basically position in which you're at, because people are threatening you. There is an extremist, that wanna probably that they would easy kind of knock you off without any particular reason, because you're just kind of making some type of approach which is all present in social media. I mean, in this septic tank of social media, we have so many things. And you put yourself on top of it, in which basically I have some kind of, how should I say, your tweets. And I was thinking, pretty much to go one by one and maybe kind of use that as a guide that we discuss, where we are today. So,
absolutely.
So in the first one, pretty much this is like your profile. And I always wanted to know, what's that NGO? What's the NGO? How does it operate? Where the money comes from? And, do we follow the lead of your money in sense to say, how should I say, well, the guy is doing some work. I'm not going to say it's going to be nice, good, dirty work, but, he's doing his job.
Oh, my friend, it's like this. This NGO I just created last year, it has no money at all. It's just a shell, basically, because I wanted to express my wish to support Montenegro's EU membership, because it's already a NATO member and it's a wonderful country. And I hope that President Jukanovic will be, it's fantastic. Yeah,
I'm part of it. My mother is from Montenegro and my father is from Serbia.
Where are you from? Where's your mama from? Which village? Which area?
She is from the most remote village you can ever think about. It's by Shavnik. It's called Malinsko.
Ah,
And
no.
I
It's
believe it's
Partisan hero area.
no, 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 no. I'm going to tell you one more thing.
Okay.
You know, I mean, in my history, there is no bad blood.
Very good.
My grand whatever father was the guy who killed that Smail Aga Cengic. That was Ottoman, you know, some type of king, and he was a hero, whatever it is. So that's as
Very
far
good.
as I could think, you know, that he was a hero for their freedom and independence. Nothing that I claim based on him, but the very important thing is, you know, that neither in this war, neither in previous war, there is no bad blood that I could blame. I hate Croatian because of that, or I hate Muslims because of that. So
We
the
have to
pure
overcome this legacy of hate, and you are a good role model for that. And I
hey,
created this NGO to put Montenegro in European Union as fast as possible, because it's a very good country with great people, and I hope this Sunday at the election they will vote for President Jukanovic, because he is the rock of the West. He is really
how
a
how
stable
does it work
independent.
so far? How does it look?
It looks competitive on both sides. Yeah. So Milatovic has also a lot of support from Serbia, and so I will be very close race, I guess. But in the first session, of course, Djukanovic has won in the first. Now is the run-up on Sunday.
So you run your NGO. I mean, you have all those traveling expenses. You have all those, how should I say, life dedication. So many
Yes.
pictures, so many flags that you're posting wherever you go. I mean, how do you support yourself?
Yeah, I'm an economist and I consult for economic projects, yeah, for economic strategy. That's my own money, basically, which I use for traveling, and I like it very much. I would like to be rich. If you have if any American listen to me and likes me to fund me, I'm very happy about it.
Are you married?
But I,
Are
I'm
you?
divorced, actually. I'm
Well,
divorced.
but you know, in America, they say there is two ways to get rich. Either you're born rich or you get married rich. So there
Maybe
is a
some
part of economy.
princess wants to marry me.
There is a part of economy, you know, that really can, how should I say, put you there. I mean, hey, listen. I mean, are you religious? I know it's a personal
Yes.
thing.
Not a lot, but I'm a Catholic, Austrian Catholic. You know, we are mostly
Okay.
in Austria, and I'm attending church and I do religious, but not very active. You know, I'm not a fundamentalist or something like this. I just do.
But you have
I
those norms, you know, peace and
I
love,
believe
brother.
in
I mean, that's
absolutely. I believe in God and I believe in love and I believe in reconciliation, peace. I hate genocide and I hate people who threaten me and who want to kill me. But I'm ready to forgive them if they forgive me.
praise the Lord, praise
And
the Lord.
praise the Lord. And please
Let,
don't harm me because I
yeah.
have registered with the Austrian authorities now. And anybody who does me physical harm will face also the consequences of the Austrian law. And I can just call for peace, harmony, and European respect with all nations of Europe. And I call my Serb friends, please don't do that. Don't threaten me. Don't try to kill me. Don't try to do me any harm or anybody else. And if it's not European, if you do that, you will
Yeah.
show all of my friends that you are exactly as many people unfortunately think and as you were in the past. And I hope you have overcome that past. As we Austrians, we were also a brutal genocidal race until 1945, and we have overcome that with American help. Thanks a lot for the liberation of Austria and with this
How about your
very
family?
important.
Let me ask you something. I told you I never had
Yes.
any bad blood. You know, is anything, you know, that you can tell us about your grandparents, you know, Austro-Hungarians or Nazi
No, yeah,
Germany? Were they part
my,
of that? Because, you know, I
I
see
know.
some posts, you know, they put, you know, mustache on you. I don't know if somebody was digging something on you.
You know,
Whatever.
generally, I believe in nations to carry responsibility. That
Sure.
means I'm an Austrian, so I'm responsible. And I'm also responsible for what was happening in a different regime at a different time when
Absolutely.
Austria actually was part of the German Empire. So I'm responsible
Absolutely.
and I apologize for the Holocaust. I regret it. I repent it. I was many times in concentration camps in my life as a political activist to show that I know that we have to overcome the tragic past and we keep the memory alive with a lot of monuments and a lot of effort from the Austrian society, especially after '86 when there was the Waldheim crisis. I was a young activist as well as then, and I have always done my part in what we call Vergangenheitsbewältigung, that is working on the past, showing contrition, active repentance, and I want the same from Serbia. I want the same from Serbia, like we did it. Of course, you know, the crime of the Holocaust is much bigger than the crimes of the genocide against the Albanians and Bosnians in the size, in the dimension, in the historic responsibility. But of course, Serbia is a much smaller country. But it doesn't matter so much for the people who died, how they died, they are dead. Yeah? And Serbia is responsible for that. And I ask for this. And I don't accept what many Serbs are doing here, because they say, oh, we were on the good side during the World War II. You were on the good side, yeah, and we were on the wrong side. But that doesn't apologize that you did all these crimes in the 90s during these 10 years of genocide from 89 to 99. And we had to stop you as a West. American bombs had to stop you. And to do some revanchist, irritantist kind of propaganda against America and against the West, yeah, because we're all NATO. Austria is not, but we should, yeah. And Serbia should as well. But this is very deeply problematic. And, you know, it doesn't really matter what my grandfather was in terms of military service. They were all very low-level soldiers because everybody in Austria was forced to do the military service, as everywhere in Europe at that time. But you cannot say, because his grandfather was a Nazi, whatever, as they say, then all Austrians today are Nazis. That's a very serious insult. How come you want to join the European Union, my Serbian friends, and you say that we are all Nazis? Then don't join better. Join Russia.
Listen. When I was young, you know, I mean, we were watching a lot of those partisan movies and something like that, you know, and then we had, if we didn't like somebody, we would say, you know, I hate you more than a German, you know. So it was like kind of childish, so the stereotype thing, you know, that basically people do accept that, and you can see, you know, how much really Germany recovered and Austria recovered from the World War, and how strong they are and how good nations they are. But we are not talking about the people here. I mean, essentially, you are provoking certain type of people who, let's say, they might be low level or high level, really irrelevant, because,
you know, government official. This one guy who threatened me is the State Secretary, Mr. George Davic, from the Ministry of Public Administration and member of the SNS board. He sent me a WhatsApp message on an open telephone number. He wishes me to die. I'm a piece of shit. That's the state official.
I think I do have that one. I think I do have that. Probably we're going to go through those your tweets. You know, I'm not going to go into that. But what I'm trying to say is, you know, the issue here is, you know, it's a matter of politics. It's a matter of populism.
Yes.
It's a matter, you know, of people. This political, you know, these politicians, to me, are prisoner of their own lies. They tend to get into the power, but I really never saw the benefit of certain things. You're right now promoting, you know, Djukanovic, but he's very much under a lot of scrutiny, you know, how much money he made, how much smuggling he did, how much wanted list from Italy and everywhere else. But, you know, this community is very small. So I'm not here, you know, to testify one way or the other, but he should be responsible for his deeds. And
yes, absolutely.
So that, I mean, you have that Prime Minister Kurz, is it right? Who actually, you know, end up in scandal, you know, for corruption and everything else. Yeah. I mean, if there is any God-given corruption heaven, it's Serbia. I mean, I'm not going to talk about Bosnia, I'm not going to talk about Croatia, even though there is elements, and I've been told by friends, you know, that it's pretty much same shit, just different package. It's the same type of people who are going through that evolutional transition to get to some norm that we should kind of obey certain rules or institution and everything else. So everything pretty much right now, it is the way it is. But, you know, you saying it can happen very fast, and there is one call it, thought that if European Union would suck us in as a region into European Union, would kind of more or less faster make those changes. So I need to get your opinion, Bulgaria, Romania, is it or not?
Absolutely. I was just in Bulgaria 3 times in this year, and it's wonderful development. I've been as a student activist 20 years ago in Bulgaria, and it was shithole, yeah. And
so what do you do there?
And I'm promoting investment. What I'm doing is also trying to bring energy investments, because thanks a lot, America. To American viewers, by the way, we have a big European energy crisis, and America saved us again. You saved us with your liquid gas, and thanks a lot, America, for that, because we wouldn't be able to sustain the Russian blackmail without America's support, and thanks a lot for that. And now what we now try to do, and what I'm involved in, is to set up a lot of solar energy in the south of the Balkans. And I bring these investors, and it will be very successful, so that we can decouple completely from hostile Russia, our enemy, and they will no longer be
Let's
able
leave
to
Russia for a little bit later.
Corrupt us, our politicians, because Russia is doing that. They buy politician by politician with the energy kickback money.
Yeah.
And as long as we buy Russian energy, our politics will be totally corrupt.
Let me ask you, so you're going to make some money there?
Yes, I hope so. If you send me some investors.
Investors now. Now you're putting the deal together. I know the guy who knows the guy. The most important thing in economics.
Okay, you get a commission. If you send one of your viewers invest with me, I will be most happy. Send me
listen. Let me tell you something. I mean, I've been also, how should I say, challenged to see, am I provoked by your tweets, posts, people.
What I have done wrong?
What have you done wrong? I think.
What provoked you? What triggered you?
Well, okay. So give me a couple minutes. Okay, give me a couple minutes. First of all, in many occasions, I consider myself being American, but born in the wrong country. As much as I loved America, then the bombing.
Country of the world.
Then the bombing of Yugoslavia happened. Then I start basically looking differently, actually challenging, the empire of the United States. And what does it do?
We liberated you. We liberated Serbia.
From who?
From Milosevic dictatorship.
Well, can't you liberate? Well, let me ask you. What you gonna do about Vučić?
He is more or less a European who needs to learn a bit more and to make money by annoying us.
He's the evil of 1990s. He's the initiator. He's a part of Milosevic who actually participated in all ugly things that happened on former Yugoslavia.
You say so now. I never accused him.
Of course, because you have to be politically correct. You have to have your free lunch. I mean, I'm not getting free lunch here, that's for sure.
I promoted Vučić until 2015. I said in public meeting at the Conservatives, because I'm a conservative activist from EPP as well in the past. Yeah. And I was invited on the meeting, and I said very nice things about it. And all my Bosnian and Kosovo friends were angry at me. But I said, let's always give one person a benefit of the doubt. Maybe he is ready for peace. Yeah. But unfortunately, the last 2 years here, and especially in the Ukraine war, he has burned all the bridges with Europe, and I'm very much against him. And he has really shown that he is not part of the future. He is part of the old Milosevic thinking, and he will not be part of the future European Serbia.
Well, it's just a question, I mean, he will be one of the other United States project, whether it's a Gaddafi or Bin Laden or, Saddam Hussein, who was very much close to United States and end up the way end up. And the way
they were.
Well,
they were just useful idiots at a certain period
absolutely,
of time.
Absolutely.
Against the Soviet Union. They were never allies of America.
I'll let me tell you something again, my stand, so you know who you're dealing with aspect of Russia, I mean, I like what I like, whether it's a good drink or food or what, I will tell you, Wiener Schnitzel, it's amazing. When I go to Italy, I go from one pizza place to the other pizza place to kind of give a connotation, whatever it is. There is nothing in Russia except, how should I say, good people and beautiful women, that I like. I wouldn't say except that I enjoy. I was a hockey player, so I enjoy in their, basically athletic, development and everything else. What's beautiful is beautiful. So pretty much that's it. Other than that, to be honest with you, I wouldn't even kind of turn, whether that is left or right, whatever it is, towards the Russia or to the east, as much as I was looking towards the west. With the aspect with Ukraine, I mean, again, that type of empathy, knowing who they are, where they are, and all those things, I can imagine. I wasn't even part of this bombardment here in Yugoslavia. So who am I to share emotion of people, what they're struggling, what they're going through, or whatever it is. In the United States, I have a lot of Ukrainian friends, and I have a lot of Russian friends.
The Ukrainians are great people.
But Russians are bad people.
No, not per se, but they are led by a dictator who is abusing them. Putin is the pure evil, and we have to remove him.
You asked me where did I make a mistake. That's where you're making a mistake. You're generalizing. You're going to try to bail out yourself out of that, but you're generalizing, saying the Serbs are bad, the Kosovars good. The Bosnians good, the Serbs are bad. The Croatians are good, the Serbians bad. So guess what? You're gonna have a lot of phone calls, a lot of tweets towards you.
Well, I have already 1,000 Twitter messages on my call. You can see it's 10,000 of them. They're writing me with death threats and everything. So I'm happy. You can write me whatever you want, but I have my opinion. They are very clear. Good and bad people everywhere. But we have to see
let me ask you,
of the political regime and the Russian regime since 2000 is evil.
It's the worst. It's the worst, but it's the worst for the Russia. It's the worst for the Russian people.
Let's liberate the Russians from Putin.
Yeah, but let's liberate Serbia from Vučić. But you still have, you still have a lot of million people who support Vučić, who support Russia, who they have their crooked mind addressed towards the direction. Why would I give them, basically spinning the head into the other direction? If they want to go towards that, if we're going to go for democracy, we have to accept that certain people don't like, women to be dressed this way or that way. If we talk about Far East or whatever it is, which is disgusting to me. But who am I to change the culture and the nature of the people?
Absolutely. In Germany there were a lot of Nazis after 45. Do you think they were all gone or dead? Obviously,
do you know how many Nazis all over the world? Do you know how many Nazis all over the world? Including Serbia, including Austria, including United States, including all those elements of the human nature were never suppressed. I mean, we still tend to hate, different culture, tend to hate, different gender, tend to hate, different, ideology. I mean, that's what human is all about.
What I wanted to explain about German and Austrian history. In 45, there were still a lot of people Nazi ideology, and the Americans started to re-educate, to put the institutions up new, to put also the people on the new educational level, and to gradually put them out of the Western and free world. And it worked. It worked, of course. On the one hand, you have to be strict against the hardcore Nazis. On the other hand, you have to integrate and create the normal institutions where they can deal with extremist ideology. And over time, obviously, and it was in the beginning, the Americans were not in favor of German development. But the Germans had a choice in 47, either to have hunger, because they were very hungry in the winter of 47, or to join the West, and then to join the European project of reconciliation and peace and unification of Europe. And they choose the second one, they choose peace. And that's what the Serbs have also the choice. Either you stay isolated, alone in the Balkan, and everybody else in, or you come to the West, but you have to come to terms with your past. You must say sorry for the crimes, and then you must accept that we are an open society with certain rules. And this is the way Europe is, because we are not joining Serbia. Serbia joins us, and that's the offer.
Listen,
that's the deal.
I mean, listen, I would love to, again, to be better. That's what my
Yes.
demands to every single politician and every leader that tends to think that he knows what to do. I want him to be better. I don't see it's being better. I'm seeing being more complicated. I'm seeing more
It will be
complicated the
better.
whole world. It will not be.
We will win the war in Ukraine now, and it will change everything. In the next 2 months, the counteroffensive will liberate Mariupol, and all the people who root for Russia in Serbia, they will be prepared for a very bad surprise. The reality of the victory of America in the Ukraine will change everything in the Balkans.
Listen, I would love to see all responsible for any crimes, either side, whether it's Bosnia, Croatia, or Serbia, to suffer. Not just those few leaders, that they are pretending being poster boys for bad boys. There is much more bad people and doing bad things, especially on Kosovo, especially in Serbia, especially all over the place. So what I'm saying, whoever did the bad deed, it should be somehow responsible. I'm not the one to judge, but I'm not saying that they pay the price.
Hashi is in The Hague. His trial will start next week. Yeah.
But you guys been kissing ass of the Hashim Thaçi before he was in jail.
He is in Den Haag. He is in Den Haag.
I know.
He will face trial. And the Serbian police general, Milutinovic, Radoslavevic, Guri is called. I know just the Guri name. He has got the medal of the Serbian state, for his excellent services, to kill the people in Racak in Kosovo in 1990.
I'm not. Listen.
This is the difference. The Kosovo sends the political leaders of historic dimension, the state president, to Den Haag, and you send them to the medals in retirement with honors.
Listen, I had an interview with a person who killed Muslim innocent civilians. He was claiming some of them were soldiers. He was released after 13 years in jail. He was part of the Scorpions, and I had opportunity to hear his story. It was kind of for a bit on YouTube, and on the end, believe it or not, I gave him $100, and he was saying, I don't need it, why are you giving me that, all those things? And I said, again, it's that type of empathy, first of all,
give this $100 to me.
No, I'll give it to you, $100. Don't worry. And I was basically, the reason why I gave him is because I'm happy that I wasn't in front of your rifle, and I'm happy that I wasn't you pulling the trigger. And to me, I can understand how does it feel to be beast through you, and how does it be, how should I say, a lost soul because of what you were doing. Killing another person is sometimes justifiable, but who am I to justify, or I'm the one, who would protect myself or family or something like that. And of course, I have to say, I wouldn't like that to happen to you, but you're putting yourself on danger just for promoting your, name and legacy, for being, putting yourself, stating certain things, was not right. And you generalizing, going against the whole people, saying something like that. The most devastating tweet was, I'm gonna put the tweet about it, that which one is it?
Which
one? Which one? What do you think?
Package.
What do you think, it was the most...
The one for the liberation of Serbia by NATO, or the one about the removal of the Milica Rakic monument?
This is the one. This is the one. So
it must be removed immediately.
Okay. Regarding the, how should I say, call it, those monuments, if you saying, should be removed. Me personally, I would put the monument of Adolf Hitler, I would put monuments of all bad people to remind us on them.
Nobody in the world has a monument of this evil person. Huh?
Well, but it would be nice to remind us. I think, in Libya they should have Gaddafi, in Iraq they should have Saddam Hussein.
That's not the way to do it. We don't need monuments for dictators. What we need is to have monuments for good people. That is very good. And Serbia has a lot of good people like Tesla and others, you know. And I was just in Belgrade on the 12th of March here for the Cincic. You should have a very big monument for the biggest hero of Serbia ever.
Listen, it doesn't serve the purpose.
And
you need to have a boogeyman. You have to have a boogeyman, you know, to scare you never to repeat something like that.
Yeah, you put him in the museum. They have very good museums all over Eastern Europe about the crimes of communism. We have very good museums about the crimes of fascism and Nazi dictatorship in Germany and Austria. This is the way to do it. And Serbia needs a central museum for the crimes in Yugoslavia and the crimes in the 10 years of Milosevic.
Yeah, you were saying,
absolutely. And you don't need a Milica Rakic monument. I have to explain you, because now I know already this history much better. She was not killed by NATO bombs at all.
How do you know that? How do you know that?
Serbian. I will tell you first what happened. I tell you first what happened. The Serbian Air Defense Force, in their full incompetence and kind of panic, shooting at NATO airplanes, because we were stopping the NATO, we were stopping actually the genocide committed by the Serb army, militias, and a lot of private people in Kosovo. That's why we went. And then the Serb air defense rockets have killed this lady, this young girl actually, Milica Rakic. And I apologize for her family for this whole tragic loss of this life. And I'm sorry for everybody who died in the Yugoslavian wars. But it's all about Milosevic waging war.
Okay.
He went in '89 to Kosovo to declare war on everybody else. He stole the $500 million of dollars, marks, from the central bank of Yugoslavia. He basically robbed the whole country.
Listen, let's not lose the point. Listen, I heard you. I heard you. The point is false because you don't have those information.
Yeah, you cannot nobody else has the other information as well.
But you're providing certain type of information that can only be justified as a lie. The facts is the fact.
No.
And you're saying, you know, basically, you know, you should be erected Madeleine Albright statue instead of that.
Absolutely, like in Pristina. That is the way to do it. Thank you for the liberation, like we do it in Austria.
Becoming the nation's top diplomat, she championed the expansion of NATO and military intervention in the Balkans.
We have a questioner here. Gentleman in the white shirt, go ahead.
Yes, I have a question for Secretary Albright. Why bomb Iraq when other countries have committed similar violations? Turkey, for example. Can I finish? For example, Turkey has bombed Kurdish citizens. Saudi Arabia has tortured political and religious dissidents. Why does the U.S. apply different standards of justice to these countries?
Indonesia.
Well, you've turned my microphone off.
That Saddam Hussein has produced weapons of mass destruction, which he's clearly not collecting for his own personal pleasure, but in order to use, and therefore he is qualitatively and quantitatively different from every brutal dictator that has appeared recently, and we are very concerned about him specifically and what his plans might be.
Thank you. My microphone is off. There we are. What do you have to say about dictators of countries like Indonesia, who we sell weapons to, yet they are slaughtering people in East Timor? What do you have to say about Israel, who is slaughtering Palestinians, who impose martial law? What do you have to say about that? Those are our allies. Why do we sell weapons to these countries? Why do we support them? Why do we bomb Iraq when it commits similar problems?
Let me give you one more so we can kind of stay a little bit around Madeleine Albright. I mean, this one
is the greatest. I'm very grateful that you put me in this discussion with Madeleine Albright because I love her. She is the most fantastic American.
But the reason why I'm putting you, because you're the one who basically, you know, provided all those information and who is forcing, you know, all those information about United States. I can tell you, me personally, I think the worst about Madeleine Albright. I think
probably the biggest American hero since Reagan.
Well, that's for you. But as you hear, I mean, audience of many Americans and don't think that way. So there is basically different opinion.
Maybe
but
a lack of information.
for somebody, we're talking about Milica Rakic. We're talking about one person. She said that 500,000 babies in Iraq was worth it. What we got today in Iraq. Are you agree with that?
I agree
because you
with the
love her.
removal. No, yeah, I love her. Yeah, she's fantastic. Yeah.
But, so you have to love what she said.
Yes, exactly. I love what she says. Absolutely.
Okay.
Fantastic.
For sake of.
I'm just, let me finish because it must be a
Sure.
debate here as well, and you
Sure.
invited me. So
Absolutely,
I want to make
absolutely.
the case.
Yeah.
Saddam Hussein is gone, and do you like Saddam Hussein? That's my counter argument.
Who is lying?
He was
Who is
an
lying
evil
there?
dictator, and the world is much better without him.
He deserved what he got. But let me ask you,
Absolutely.
who is liar here? Saddam Hussein was United States man. I mean, who is lying? You have the whole country lying for something, that caused how many people to get killed?
Mm-hmm. And how many people are liberated from this evil dictatorship? How many people did he kill before?
No, you tell those
and
people
they don't matter?
You tell those people who got killed how they are liberated because they got killed. Let's hear this, because
And
to me...
America killed them? Or it was a civil war in Iraq? Just to get that clear. Mrs. Albright killed them?
Let's get clear. I mean, I don't know if you watch the same movie I watch, but so far I know that United States kicked ass of Iraq. They didn't have a chance. They didn't have a chance.
I know the Iraq debate very well, yeah? And it's much better Iraq is liberated, and I'm sure it would have been even better if we allowed 3 different countries to develop in 2004, but it was not the American policy because you obviously made a mistake. Contrary to Yugoslavia, you didn't allow the splintering into new states, and it's much better to free the people and to have new states like in Yugoslavia, 7 new countries that really work, where the people carry the state and support it, much better than what happened in Iraq, where you enforced the unity on the Kurds and the Shiites to this day, and they didn't like it. Obviously.
Let's not go there.
And so
We're talking about...
You went there. You invited me for Yugoslavia, now you went to Iraq. And I love Madame Albright. She is the greatest liberal interventionist ever in the recent history since Reagan.
So let me ask you something. Okay, let me put this thing, and I just want to ask you after that, should she deserve, that monument? Whether it's
in the center of Belgrade, and it will be built.
Okay, how about
We have heard that 500,000 children have died. I mean, that's more children than died in Hiroshima. And is the price worth it?
I think this is a very hard choice, but we think the price is worth it.
Thanks, Madeleine Albright. She is the best.
So I'm going to tell you one thing. I wouldn't trade my kid, not 500,000 kids, for that liberation. And there is nothing to be free there except, that we have a chaos and we have constructive destruction.
It's actually, when you talk about Iraq, I'm not a business economist, and Iraq actually was the #1 reformer in 2019 on the doing business in the Middle East. Yeah, they are very, very dynamic reforming economy, and they are very much richer than all Yugoslavian states. Yeah, by the way, it's an oil boom town up there, the Kurdish area, and also most of Iraq is really economically much more progressing than
that's before bombardment. That was before bombardment.
No, that's today. Before bombardment, they were totally poor and disaster, because that's the reality.
Saddam Hussein was... Listen, Saddam Hussein was doing reform in which he was saying, I'm not going to use US dollars.
Dictator. He killed the people, he tortured them.
Of course.
I don't know which American lefty is making this pro-Saddam campaigns, pro-Milosevic campaign. Yeah. The next thing is the North Korean dictator is the alternative for the world. Yeah, really, seriously.
Listen,
this is all completely confused.
Well, listen. First of all, I don't know where United States brought their democracy. I know the countries. It is the best democracy by now. But the thing is, I don't see that they brought anywhere peace except the death, that their bombs, and
Europe,
their
to
imperialism. I don't think so.
To Ukraine.
I don't think so. Well, Ukraine, you know, I mean, Ukraine is paying. Listen, Ukraine is paying, you know, certain type of price that I really wouldn't like to pay the price. If the Americans so gutsy, if the Americans so gutsy and brave, why they don't go over there and fight that war?
Yes, I'm in favor of that. It would be much better. But
I would be favoring that too, and the war would end in 2 days because you know. Listen, I mean,
nobody can resist.
You're economist. Of course they can't. Of course they can't. Nobody could resist, you know, Nazi power at certain point.
No,
Nobody.
everybody could. It was a total disaster regime.
Well, now that's what I'm afraid of. That's what I'm afraid
America
of.
is the most powerful country in the world today, and I'm very happy about it. And I call also for American intervention in Ukraine. It would be much better. In the moment in February 2000, they should have intervened and ended this Russian onslaught. And so
Listen,
many
you're an economist. You know how much money they put into Ukraine, United States?
Not enough. Not enough.
But do you know how much?
Now you asked me before from 2014 and 2000.
No. By now, because I'm quoting, you know, through source.
It's about
you know.
110 million.
There you go.
In 2022, free.
Do you know which second country is, you know, comparison to that amount of money?
Germany and
Germany.
Europe.
How much?
Together.
Germany. How much Germany put it?
You know, we are in a union.
I know.
cannot say the individual numbers because it has to be counted as the EU numbers and the German numbers together. So we are 27 states in the European Union. And to my latest and best knowledge, we have put about 60 billion.
Okay, Germany put it 2.5 billion.
Yeah, bilaterally. You know, that's a bit of a misunderstanding because you have to see that we are like California, let's say. Germany like California. We are like in a political union. Most of the money for Ukraine goes collectively via the European Union. We have made joint debts and we will do more because Ukraine will cost a lot. The reconstruction of Ukraine will cost 750 billion around, and the energy crisis will cost us about the same, and the rearmament in order to contain hostile Russia long term. So the overall costs of the war are reaching already 2,000 billion, and we have to, of course, make a new debt for that. And we will do that. And we will outperform Russia. Don't worry. We will win together. And it will be insofar indirectly refinanced because Russia will no longer a hostile power after the loss in Ukraine. And that will come very soon. You will see that. Yeah?
Well,
because
me personally, I would love to.
Yes,
listen, me personally, I would love to see, you know, that war ends tomorrow. You know, I don't care who will win. I just want war to stop.
That's very bad of you. I'm disappointed.
Why?
You are on the side of the Russian imperialist aggressor.
No.
Genocide. You're on the side of genocide.
I don't give. Listen, let me put it this way. I don't give a shit
for genocide.
I don't give a shit about Russians. I don't give a shit about Russians.
I care very much for Russians. Contrary to you, I care very much for Russians.
Well, we didn't hear each other. We didn't hear each other like that because you were saying Russians are bad. Again, you generalize.
No, I never said that.
Nobody
has ever worked so much for Russian democracy in the 90s like me from Austria.
Oh,
I was over 7 times.
You got some medal there.
Yeah,
what type flags?
After the fall of Putin, I will get a medal. Like from the fall of Vucic, I will get the medal from European Serbia. And I will get in the successor states of Russia, because Russia will fall like ex-Yugoslavia. I'm working on that, by the way, and that's a very important aspect. It will be 36 new countries, and maybe some of the presidents of the new countries to develop out of Russia will remember this humble idiot Gunther Fehlinger who was fighting for them and will give me a nice medal, so I don't have to print them here, but I will get them. And I will print one myself if they don't give it to me. Don't worry. But it will be the future. And you will see on your podcast, it was first announced that the fall of Russia will lead to 36 new countries like ex-Yugoslavia, and all of them will be much better countries.
Listen, you were talking about Serbian extremists. If you would take in consideration that I'm Serbian, I'm the most extreme.
No.
I'm the most extreme. Because I envision a world...
the most extreme patriot, or why?
Well, let me finish. I'm the most extreme because I wish all politicians die today.
No, don't say that.
I'm saying is, what's the word? What do we get out of them? What did we get out of any politician, you or me, or those poor people, maybe somebody who is watching over there?
I even have to defend Mr. Vucic now, you know. It's the first time I do that on public. But, you know, let's be honest, economically, he has pegged the dinar to the euro 2012. He has really stabilized the economy. He has
How much we are in debt? How much we are in debt?
Not so much, not so much. He built massive infrastructure.
Who will pay that?
You know, everywhere. The Europeans, obviously, yeah. And so it will be all fine, yeah.
Well,
No
Americans
worries,
will pay. Americans will pay.
Yes, as well. Mr. Vucic and also many of them, you know, the last, you know, on economic infrastructure and on European integration, he has really delivered, yeah. He is always explaining to us in Europe that, in the European Union, that he cannot change the opinion on Kosovo because then he will lose power and he cannot reform the country. And he is always like saying, "Oh, my population is so bad, but we cannot do anything else." Yeah?
Hey,
so
I mean,
you know,
if
the politicians in Serbia are not so problematic. Yeah? It's
well,
more the
well,
Russian influence. Because Mr. Putin loves your country and he doesn't allow any kind of deviation.
I don't know.
The West.
I mean, I'm very much curious. You know why those people are so much obsessed about Putin. You know, I'm very much kind of curious about that. But well, there is no brainwashing. There is no
the
influence.
Media is controlled by Gazprom.
No.
The
There is no influence from Russians whatsoever.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I
the
believe.
whole Russian propaganda machine is in full swing.
No, not that I see. The only thing that I see is propaganda, basically, stating, how much we've been bombarded, killed, destroyed, and how much we don't have nothing to do with the NATO that basically made. Listen to me, punchline. They made a criminal act attacking Yugoslavia. So I go by that. What's that?
It was not a criminal act. Yeah.
It is criminal act. It's against UN Charter. It is against your charter. You can call Merciful Angel, you can call him my grandma, or you can call him any way you want to. You attack, the whole world attack Yugoslavia. Whatever was left of.
No, really. Seriously, if America would like to really destroy Serbia, it could have easily done in 1999. It was never the plan.
And they did.
It was a very, very
they did destroy.
Kind of no.
They did destroy.
It was some minor infrastructure damage was done, yeah, on
minor.
some bridges and some minor infrastructure. Please, seriously.
They always do that minor infrastructure, so they can rebuild and they can buy cheaper, or they can do.
No. This was all very expensive for America. War is the most expensive settlement of political conflicts, and it was very costly. The idea that this is a money-making machine is some left-wing fantasy. Yeah? In reality, it is very costly intervention, and it was very, very much on the last thing to do, because Milosevic was such a stubborn mule. He didn't really listen to anybody anymore. There were so many efforts over 1 year, from 98, when the Rajak massacre started on the 5th of March, to the 24th of March, the American diplomacy and the Europeans were continuously working with Milosevic to somehow find a modus vivendi, culminating in the Rambillon Agreement, which was a major concession towards Milosevic, just to get him somehow to stop the killing in Kosovo. But he was not to be moved. He was not to be moved. He was a crazy man. And then the Americans had gradually moved ever more military force. First they bombed only in Kosovo, the perpetrator forces, and then in April they had to move into Serbia proper, because he was simply not stopping. He was even escalating the genocide in March and April, because most of the atrocities happened in March and April in 1999. And then the Americans said, what we need to do? Okay, and then the very selectively chirurgical and always with prior information of the Serb authority, who didn't evacuate the buildings. Yeah, they didn't evacuate the state television building. They didn't inform their population correctly and their own installation. And America just strategically, always on a very well approved and very well targeted mission, destroyed some selective infrastructure in May 1999 in order to somehow make him stop. And then it took until June to see him that he will be even more, the damage will be done. But this was not a full-scale destruction of Serbia. I know Serbia very well before and afterwards, yeah. And everybody else knows as well.
I'm ET coming from, and I'm
the fact.
Listen, and I'm an alien, came from Mars, so you can tell me what happened in my beloved country. And you're taking your stand. which I appreciate. I gave you absolutely opportunity to say something that pretty much everybody that's watching this already knows that. But that's your side.
Okay.
There is always the other side. And I don't want to get into that confrontation because, again, out of courtesy, I allow you, to say your point of view with the facts, with the dates, with whatever was going to destroy one way or the other. But as we watch any sport event, you see foul play, I don't see the foul play, depending which team you're cheering or ruling. So it's a matter of perspective. So I have no problem about that, and I have no problem recognizing all bad deeds done by Milosevic. That again, I'm the type of guy who would deal with the politicians certain ways. And you say, don't say that on podcast. But then again, there is that.
I wish nobody to die. I'm a peace activist, actually. I don't want anybody to die. But from time to time, evil must be confronted militarily. And
but not on 500,000 babies, Gunther. Not on innocent people.
America to bombing Vienna. Nobody in Vienna liked to be bombed in 44 and 45. But it was
America in 1945, they were shitting every single bomb on all Europe, all Germany, all Belgrade, everything else. They made more damage than basically. And I'm going to tell you one thing. I'm telling you that as a U.S. citizen, somebody who loves America, but I don't love their foreign policy. I think they're wrong.
Thanks a lot, America, for liberating us from the Nazi regime by bombing us. Thanks a lot for bombing us. I want Serbia to say the same.
Hit me.
I want the Serbs to say very much, thanks for bombing us because you liberated us from the evil regime which forced us into genocide. This is what the Serbs have to say if they want to join the European Union and NATO. If they don't want to join,
I don't know if they want to.
Our money.
Do they?
Yeah, stay where you are.
There you. But you have to. Back. Well, first of all, you have to stop sending that money. Why are you sending that money? Who asked you? But let me ask you. Who asked you to send that money?
The Serb people.
Serb people?
Yeah.
Serb people ask you for sending money.
Absolutely.
I don't think so.
We sent 20 billion in the last 20 years.
Well, I didn't get a penny, or anybody else around me didn't get a penny.
Have you recently been in Serbia? Do you see how the infrastructure looks like?
As ugly can be. If you ask me, I'm coming from the United States. Do they look like Vienna? Does it look, like a European Union?
It looks relatively nice.
There is no curb.
Have a subway, a metro system I offer from the European Union. You saw the article? I think you could have a metro system if you recognize Kosovo.
Listen, Gunther, if you make money from Serbia, you buying lunch, okay? Wiener Schnitzel is on you. I don't think so you're going to make one penny because the stubbornness. Listen, no, I'm saying, I'm saying, listen, the good quality and virtue of Serbians and bad quality of the virtue is that spite. Most nations do not have that virtue. Did you ever heard about inat, Srpski inat?
Yeah.
The Serbian spite?
I was in Inat Kuća in Sarajevo. It was
and that's a famous.
The guy has rejected the Austrian recompensation effort. Even when we recompensated, the Austrian authorities in Bosnia in the 19th century had to buy him a new house and to recompensate him.
Listen, all I'm saying is there is that saying, of this region in which we would say, now I don't want it the way I want it. I don't know what I want. So
it will come.
It will come, and it's, I mean, they tend to say that cooking the frog. I don't know if you heard that phrase, No. So we are about to eat that frog. And it's going to happen, in every given aspect, with the aspect to Russia, with the aspect to Kosovo, with the aspect to NATO. And
you will join NATO, you will recognize Kosovo, you will break with Russia.
Yeah, we will, but by the force.
Yes, unfortunately, because now soon Russia will lose and there will be nobody left to cry to.
Well, why should I worry about Russia? Why should I worry about Ukraine when I have a small Serbia?
Russia is controlling Serbia.
My
Putin
problem...
Basically, since 2003, he started the reconquest of Serbia. The killing of Djindjic was the first step, and then was the...
Now you know everything. Now you know everything.
Yes. I say it here, like,
Now you
on
know.
your
I mean,
podcast.
you have no. I mean, well, there you are. I mean, I'm gonna give you all free time. You know, I mean, I love having kind of dialogue and debate in sense that we do not agree as we were planning to agree. I mean, I can tell you, that you see. There is also that. Do you know the comedian George Carlin? He died. He was a very American, very philosophical, politically orientated politician. And his famous quote is, when United States, bomb other countries, that in the name of peace, that would be like, somebody, screwing up, or fucking, in the name of innocence. And we're talking about the
nice
industry.
polemic. But I don't think Hitler would have lost the Second World War if America hadn't intervened and bombed my city Vienna and Berlin.
And you don't want to give any credit to Russians, huh?
Honestly, a lot of Russians died in this terrible war.
But do you want to give them credit? Do you want to give them credit?
Give me one sentence, I will explain you.
Okay.
I say, of course, their loss is tragic, like all loss is tragic. But the reasons why the World War II started was because of Stalin agreeing with Hitler about the division of Poland, and he took Moldova, half of Poland, 3 Baltic countries, and he wanted to have Finland, and he is very much guilty for the Second World War start. And then, of course, when Hitler attacked him in 41, then, of course, America saved the Soviet Union. America supplied over 1 trillion of goods, worths, and money. 1 trillion in today's money is a lot of money towards the Soviet Union in order to defeat the Nazi empire and to stay afloat financially, industrially, technology-wise. Yeah? And this was the most important and most generous effort of America ever. And the Soviet Union would have lost against Nazi Germany in 41, 42, 43 without this massive transfer of wealth from America to the Soviet Union. And what did Stalin do? He broke all the agreements after the victory, and he occupied half of Europe, and he gave the Cold War to the world, and he even invaded South Korea because he didn't get half of Japan as he thought he has deserved. Yeah. So that's the thank you of the Soviet Union. And that's why I don't say thank you for the Soviet Union, because they have not deserved it thank you. Because it is America to thank for the victory and the liberation.
So if the Russian wouldn't be part of Second World War, America would won.
America won the Second World War.
Without Russian, without Yugoslavians, without resistance anywhere else,
no,
America is the one who won the war.
Absolutely.
They're the one who were supplying Germans, with the resources. They're the one who made money out of the war.
No, what are you saying? It's totally proper fake.
No,
they supplied the Soviet Union.
I'm just listening. I'm just listening. U.S. professors speaking the truth. Yeah, after 20 years, the truth has to come out. A lot of
The truth has to come out, and the truth is that Stalin would have lost the Second World War easily, immediately, if not American. And Harry Hopkins was the man who transported massive amounts of wealth to the Soviet Union defense. And it was a good strategy because Hitler was much more evil. But when you think about thank you, then ask the Polish for thank you, what they thank to the Soviet Union, or the Romanians, or everybody in Eastern Europe who stayed for 40 years under that terrible regime. Do you want to live under such a terrible regime? And Yugoslavia was not part of it because Tito ran away and the Americans have protecting it. And he was since 48, then 52 basically, 52, the American Joint Chief of Staff has decided to financially support Yugoslavia. And the whole great bloc-free thing, and the whole Yugoslavia was only American generosity for 40 years. For 40 years you had to take the American money because you were a very unproductive dictatorship, and America kept you afloat because you're a strategically important country. And then when the Cold War ended with Gorbachev, then the Americans didn't send you money anymore, and then Milosevic saw it's all bankrupt, and then he started to rob the other republics, Croatia and the rest, and he started the decade of the basically robbery and stealing from Croatia and from everybody. And that led to this absolute disaster of the last decade. And that's the history of Yugoslavia in real terms. Yeah?
Thank you.
Nothing else.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, if I could repeat that, probably would pass or fail, the history class. But yeah, I do agree. When the United States gave money to Yugoslavia, that was the end of Yugoslavia, because they end up in basically financial slavery. They were not able, to recover, because you start basically being in debt, to credit institutions.
Do you know how Stalin and Tito have been fighting in the years of 46 to 48?
Yes.
And then Tito went away from Stalin, and then you were total poverty, and you were in the direct threat of the Soviet Union.
Wait. Are you saying Stalin was paying Tito, and then he went to the Americans so he can be paid by Americans, or what?
Tito was very much supported by Stalin from 45 to 48 until they broke. At the famous 28th of June.
So that's the fact. That's the fact.
Yes. And then he left. And what should Yugoslavia do? It was very poor dictatorship. It was completely underdeveloped and ravaged by the war. And then they got 52.
Like any other countries in Europe.
Yes. And then they got money, and then they didn't do very productive things, because Yugoslavia, as a socialist system, was completely mismanaging all the funds, contrary to what we did.
Well, I see that you're full of information. Do you know? Do you know when? When there was about 4 leaders of 6 Yugoslavian republics were in, how should I say, that feud and in situation that it's about to collapse? When George Bush Sr., the older one, basically came to them, and because previously, United States was in favor Yugoslavia to remain the same, but George Bush Sr. came to them and said, once you split apart, then you're going to get money.
No, it's absolutely untrue. And this is the total propaganda twisting of history. What is true is that the Americans have supported the Union, even of the Soviet Union. In 1990, George Bush, he went to Kiev in the most famous speech of Chicken Kiev, it's called in history.
So you're going to fact me check. So you're going to fact me check what I just said.
I will fact check that. So, please. But
and I'll send you proof.
The situation is, that the American foreign policy is always stability oriented, and they didn't want Ukraine to split from Russia. They went there to say no to that, and they didn't want the split up of Yugoslavia. The split up of Yugoslavia. I mean, people like me, I wanted it. I'm very happy for the split up of Yugoslavia, because it was an evil regime. Because it was an evil regime for its people.
But can't you fix the regime? You're in favor of fixing the regime by bombing, but you're not in favor.
That's the American way, That's the American way. Because the Americans so long say, better stay together, until they see the shit hits the fan and it's genocide, and then they use violence. I say, let's fix the country early, and let's divide them fairly. Because it was always the Serb dictatorship from 1918.
So how it's fixed now? It's
very good. The countries work very well.
It's very good for you. You can bring your solar panels, you can make money, you can come, from the side, make a deal, pay this guy, pay that guy, let's make a deal, have a free lunch. How it's good for the ordinary people, who used to have industry producing, very well recognized goods, that didn't do well, but they were doing, industry, like whatever they were doing, because I was in Mostar when they were making, airplane jets with the French and British, they were making, that Gazelle helicopters, they were making, jet fighters and everything else. So they had an industry, that pretty much were comparable, to all development of the Europe. No?
Let's be very honest. Let's a little bit dismantle the myth of Yugoslavian industrialization. With the money from the West, which Tito got, he built some industrial factories, mainly in the military and in the steel industry. Most of them were low technology, they were badly managed, and they are to this day a major environmental pollution problem for your countries, and the absolute disaster.
Which
because
one?
The socialist, all of them, all the industrial system of
generalizing.
I know, which one? The aluminium in Montenegro, a country which never had enough electricity for its own households. What kind of crazy people put the aluminium in that country? Then you see.
What
I
kind
know
of
most
crazy
the-
people build watches in Swiss Alps?
And then you see, I know also the coal energy project in Kosovo. I know the Macedonian
Oh, yeah.
industrialization. This was all a total disaster. It was technically some things were might be good, economically never really working, and always producing a big minus. And America had to send more money and more money to do all these industrial political projects.
Why they're
They were
such a
all done for
suckers?
political.
Listen, why they're
Political
such a
reasons.
suckers,
And
to
now the
send?
environmental pollution of Yugoslavia, because many or most of the countries, not the ones we cleaned up already, like Croatia, Slovenia, but Bosnia, Serbia, Macedonia, Kosovo, have huge environmental liabilities and high cancer rates. And it's not the depleted uranium of the NATO liberation which
No,
creates this.
it was the
but
roses.
It is
Candies,
the environmental legacy of Tito. The
Candies.
terrible technology, low standard industrialization with reckless efforts without any concern for the people or the nature, which creates the high cancer, and not the depleted uranium. Am I clear?
Listen, no, I mean, I'm just letting you to how should I say, valve out, whatever you want to say, I mean, you absolutely have a right to say that. I mean, you know better, than I do, that's for sure. But let me ask you,
It was a disaster.
are you right now on the phone or iPad?
No, I just had I'm here on the phone, yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna read this. It's gonna be better for me to read your tweet. You can see it as well.
Yep.
Basically, says Kosovo has 1,500 MW coal power generation capacity and minimum 14 billion tons of coal under Kosovo. And the old U coal, TPP, have reached the end of their life cycle. In today's energy war with Russia, Europe needs this coal, and this coal must be transformed into clean energy. Can you elaborate, please?
No, yeah, it's a big problem that Yugoslavia, in a certain phase between basically in the 60s, had a little bit of a softer development approach towards Montenegro, Kosovo, your internal colonies. Because until that moment, until the fall of Rankovic in 64, you have basically treated these areas, which you conquered in 1912, as colonies. And then in that years, after 64, the Americans gave you even more money, the so-called hard-dinar policy, when really you were bankrupt. And then there was development for Kosovo, like to build this coal power plant, Kosovo A and B, they are called. And this still today, now, 60 years later, are the main source of energy from Kosovo at the moment. And they have reached the end of the life cycle. So what is needed is a so-called new block. It's called Kosovo C or Kosovo New Kosovo. And this block has not been able, the international community has not delivered that block up to now. And that was a big problem. And so what we are now calling for is to have a new coal power plant. I know coal is not very popular, but the whole of Kosovo is built on coal. So what we need is, of course, to build that kind of new thermal power plant. And I'm also for solar, for wind, for everything. But I think for the base load, what is needed is, of course, also the coal power plant. Have you been online, or was there a drop in the line?
No. I'm just gonna, to be honest with you, my phone slipped, so just I just put myself off for a second to pick it up.
No, don't worry. But I want to explain that this is very important. I'm not a coal activist, pro coal or something, but Kosovo is built on a lot of coal, over 14 billion of tons. And so once you have coal, you need also to develop it. And this can be done with modern European technology according to modern standards. And it's much better than to continue these old plants, because all the debate about, keeping no to coal has led that the same power plants from the 1960s are still operational today. And Kosovo has, like all Yugoslavia, a big problem, ex-Yugoslavia, with environmental pollution because of the energy generation of this kind of reckless industrialization of Yugoslavia, and also of course the mining complexes which were left in such a bad shade, and all these other industrial failures of Yugoslavia. They are polluting Kosovo the same as they're polluting Serbia and Macedonia, and that has nothing to do with depleted uranium.
Okay, well, the way I see, right now, all this region is pretty much diminished. The labor force, it's very kind of, how should I say, low skill level.
No, there are very clever people in Serbia and in Kosovo, very clever people.
Who are you talking about? You're talking about Albanians? You're talking about Serbians?
Albanians, I know Montenegrins, I know Serbians, Bosnians. I know many people, thousands of people in all countries. And they are very smart. They are the same, many smarter than me. And they are very well educated.
According to your tweets, according to certain your tweets, you shouldn't do it. You know, also I'm going to tell you, since you love America, you know, there is all that cartoon.
Yes,
there is cartoon about one guy who is doing all wrong. And they name him, you know, like a Dick, you know, and Dick is doing this, Dick is doing this. It's all wrong. And then on the end they say, don't be a dick. So all I'm saying is, don't be a guy who is doing wrong things. I mean, do not generalize and approach to the Serbian people to love you because you're showing some strength and force. On the other side, you look like you're kissing ass of other nations. I'm not going to name them, you know, because it's a matter of your, you know, political and economical engagement, you know. So what
I like people who like NATO.
Listen, no, well, I hate NATO. I mean, if you ask me, you know, so
hate NATO.
Absolutely.
This is NATO.
Well,
this is the perfect alliance of freedom. This is the biggest alliance of free nations ever in history, who has kept peace in Europe. How can you hate NATO?
Listen, if I would take myself out of quotation of being Serbian, and if I would say as American, okay, I would say fuck NATO. Fuck NATO. Yeah. I would very much. Okay, well, let's finish on this note, you know, because we can always chit chat, you know, because you have all those beautiful flags. How many flags you have? I mean, you have more flags than United Nations, man.
No. I just for the countries I work in, yeah.
There you go.
Caring a lot because Serbia, I really care for Serbia, and it will be beautiful and amazing European member and NATO member.
Well, if it happens, nothing to do with me, you know. I mean, for me,
perfect.
I'd rather
you
have
me this big podium, and I can reach the American public.
From the day one, you know, when there was a talk about European Union and all those things, Europe that I love so much, you know, from every given aspect, you know, I never wanted neither Yugoslavia or Serbia to join European Union because they should first clean the house in the house, and then present themselves to be ready to go somewhere. Us not being able to go over there because we didn't clean our mess and we didn't clean our deeds, and we are the one who is making mess on the street and making mess in the rivers. We are the one, you know, who is corrupt, and we are the one who learned to live that. I don't know if that's the problem from Ottoman Empire one way or the other. I'm not going to get into that, but the idea is there is a lot of work for us to do, and we're not going to be doing that if we are fed with money and donation, and actually we are just selling our asses, you know, to corporate interests, you know, that will come here and basically set up their position. So just my point of view, no reason for you to reply, you know, but you can feel my sentiment, you know. And NATO is a force. NATO is the one that's gonna collide with China and Russia, and it's gonna be messy. Somebody gonna end up dead, and I hope
China we will never touch, and they will never touch us. It's far away, and it will be peace. And with Russia, it will disappear very soon. So the problem is solved. Yeah,
it will never disappear.
You will
tell me one country that disappeared as such an expert. What do you mean? But people didn't disappear.
No, people of Russia will also not disappear. It will be.
So you're talking about change of regime, change of borders, change of what happened to Kosovo.
No change of borders. Just breaking up of Russia.
Breaking up the Russia, and as they break up the Yugoslavia, as they break up, you know, Serbia from Kosovo.
Yes.
And that's rightly and godly right of United States.
No, that's not. God has little to do with it, but He will be very happy with the new people who live in freedom. That is the only thing God maybe has to do with it. I don't know about God so much, I hope he will listen to us and
But
protect me. But nevertheless, I know that the people of Chechnya want to be free. And they were killed twice by the Russians in brutal air attacks. That was real brutality. That was a total genocide against the Chechen people, and they have to live, deserved freedom. And I know now many people from the Russian republics, and they all want to be free. Nobody wants to live in such a terrorist organization like the Russian state is today. And nobody wants to live under such an amazingly rich country, which Russia theoretically is. But unfortunately, it's only for 10 people.
Well, I hope...
all friends of Putin.
Well, listen,
you are a left-wing guy, I understand. You complain about American oligarchy.
I'm leftist.
Or whatever.
No, I'm rather. I'm much more.
The world.
Listen, for your sake, I'm much more anarchist than I'm a leftist or rightist.
Let's not go into that. But the thing is, Russia today is the biggest oligarchic monopolization of power ever in the world. And it's an absolute disaster. Nobody can defend such a terrible system. Economically, politically, strategically, and now they do genocide in Ukraine and make a big land war in
genocide.
Europe in 2020.
Again, you're saying certain things, that you shouldn't be saying.
Why?
Because you're diminishing. Listen, you're diminishing, basically all those people that end up in genocide.
Last year, I was I don't do. Last year in February, on the 12th of February, I went to Mariupol myself with my NATO flag, and I called for the defense of Mariupol Mariupol. I was with this flag. I was in Mariupol saying, NATO defend Mariupol. And it was a bit funny, and everybody laughed. Gunther, Putin will not attack. If my Ukrainian friend said, Gunther is a crazy guy, and he goes to Mariupol alone with his flag and makes tweets and thinks he can change the world. And then what happened? Putin took the revenge on Mariupol and he killed 10,000 of people, and I call it genocide. And
because
every
of
16th
you?
of
Because
March
of your flag?
Not because of me, because he hated Mariupol, because the people of Mariupol didn't want to be with him in 2014. And in 2014, in May, when he wanted to take Mariupol, then the people of the Azov Steelwork and Mr. Akhmetov, they have put the defense of Mariupol, and he didn't get it. He didn't get his land bridge, and that's why he came back with full force, and he killed them, and he ordered the airstrike at the theater where so many people and children were there, and they had even the sign Teti on it, and he killed it on purpose on the 16th of March as a kind of symbolic gesture, because the 16th of March is his Crimean takeover day, and he wanted to show them this is revenge. He believes in revenge. He is a brutal dictator, genocide, I call it. And nobody with his goodwill who is a European or American should defend Mr. Putin's genocide. And he will end up like Milosevic in Den Haag. And it will be a great day for the world.
Listen, let's finish on this note. It's not really up to me. It's up to Putin. It's up to Zelensky. I had a great history class from you.
It's up to America.
America
is the greatest democracy of the world. But you have to use force from time to time to end evil.
I wish,
and I call on America to do that again.
I wish, that we had
no regrets.
I wish that we had Madeleine Albright here. She would probably sacrifice 500,000 kids, in Ukraine and Russia, in the name of peace.
History.
In the name of peace.
She is the greatest American ever in history, and I love her.
All right. Gunther, thank you very much for joining this podcast. I hope, that you will not provoke people and put yourself in danger. It's really your life. You're the one who's supposed to look left and right when cross the street. I'm not going to tell you because you already told me. You already told me. Well, Serbs, tend to drink, and sometimes they tend to do things, that shouldn't be doing. They are also dicks like you are dick, for doing these things, putting yourself in problem. So Gunther, please don't be a dick. That's it. Be a friend. Try to reestablish that communication, based on drink, foods, girls, fun, music, something like that. Because you're not going to make money like that.
I invite everybody to come to Vienna and let's have a rakia here. I will go very soon back to Belgrade, and I'm looking very much forward to celebrate with my Serb friends the freedom once the recognition of NATO and of Kosovo is coming, NATO membership is coming, and then there will be a European Serbia, and we will live in peace and happiness forever together.
Thank you very much. On my side, I'm going to sign off with the fuck NATO.
I love Madeleine Albright.
Yeah. Well,
And I love
listen.
NATO.
Listen.
Austria in NATO.
The next
Kosovo
one.
NATO.
The
Austria
next one.
and Serbia in NATO.
Yeah. The next one is this one.